On today's World Insight, Chinese and Central Asian leaders gather in the Kazakh capital Astana for the second China-Central Asia Summit eyeing regional cooperation. How has this cooperation changed people's lives? What more can be expected from this year's summit? Answer to these and more in tonight's special China and Central Asia Together for a Shared Future. In tonight's panel, Maqsut Narikbayev, an international communications expert who's a political scientist and media manager. Dongqi Yang, an assistant professor of the Graduate School of Business of Nazarbayev University. Ramazan Zampisov, an advisor to the General Director of the Kazakhstan Ekujer Association. And Ma Bin, a Deputy Research Fellow of Fudan University.
For the very first time, the China-Central Asia Summit is being held in Central Asia. And I am in Astana,
talking to the speakers and delegates to find out exactly what it all means for the region.
with a deeper connection in politics, trade, and transportation links between China and Central Asia.
Where uncertainty provides a global backdrop, but where multiple engagements become the norm.
Join me for a World Insight special, Connecting Central Asia. Hello from Astana, Kazakhstan, and welcome to the CGTN and Silkway TV joint presentation, China and Central Asia, Together for a Shared Future. I'm Tian Wei, and this is my great colleague, Ainur, coming from the Silkway TV. It's always good to see you.
Hello, nice to see you in Astana for the second time.
Indeed.
And greetings to our audiences of Silkway TV channel and CGTN. It's truly exciting to witness our city becoming a hub for international dialogue.
As we know, the 2025 China-Central Asia Summit is taking place in Astana this week. Amid global uncertainty and shifting dynamics, this summit carries much significance. Leaders from China, Central Asia will join forces to strengthen regional stability, share prosperity, and a more inclusive world order.
Yes, this is true. This summit is pivotal to promote cooperation in the region. For Kazakhstan and our neighbors in Central Asia, this moment represents a deepening of regional bonds and a reaffirmation of our joint aspirations with China. It also reflects Central Asia's growing role as a strategic bridge, not only between East and West, but between tradition and innovation.
Indeed. Since the first summit, China and Central Asia have achieved remarkable progress, deepening mutual trust, boosting trade and infrastructure development with vibrant cultural exchanges, especially between China and Kazakhstan.
Absolutely. Today we gather in Astana to celebrate the growing China-Central Asia partnership. This partnership is not just vital for our region, but sets a powerful example of mutually beneficial collaboration in today's world. Looking forward to insightful discussions ahead.
Indeed, and we are very glad and honored to welcome our experts on the panel to discuss how China and Central Asia can shape a shared future. They are Maqsut Narikbayev, expert in international communication. He himself is a political scientist and a media manager. Meanwhile, Dongqi Yang, assistant professor with the Graduate School of Business of Nazarbayev University. What a pleasure to see both of you here.
Also, we have Ramazan Zampisov, advisor to the General Director of the Kazakhstan Ekujer Association, and Ma Bin, Deputy Research Fellow at the Center for Russian and Central Asian Studies from Fudan University, who is joining us online. Welcome, gentlemen.
Let's jump on this very first one. We know in our world today, so many uncertainties, whether it's geopolitics, climate change, technological development, and the list goes on. So where is the role of China and Central Asia? I would love to hear from all of you.
Last year it was the Shanghai Organization meeting in Astana, and one of the main really significant thing in the final declaration of this meeting was that Central Asia is the core and the main region for the security of Shanghai Organization countries and also the whole Eurasian countries. So there is no security without security in Central Asia. And
collective security.
yes, and it was said and it was added in this declaration, because we all Central Asia countries, we need the strong guarantees from our great neighbors that it will be the really safe region for the development.
From the security side, and me, more from a business school, observing the on-the-ground economic, bilateral economic collaboration opportunities, what we observe is also a sustainable trend. At the beginning, we expect tremendous governmental support from either side. And what we're observing that is the complementarity between Central Asian economy and China economy is actually taking on a momentum of its own because of the mutual interest and mutual collaboration. I'll give one example. 2 years ago, when the first China Central Asia Summit were held, there was already in discussion, in preparation, this collaboration between Astana Motors and 3 Chinese brands, Chang'an, Chery, and Haval, right, Great Wall Motors. We know that they were planning on actually assemble and making cars actually in Almaty. And now 2 years later, and we're looking at this progress. This is already taking a life of its own, and Astana Motors right now are producing those cars. And even more amazingly, Chinese car makers relies on Astana Motors' marketing expertise so much. When Chang'an is actually planning to expand to Poland market, guess who is a strategic partner? Astana Motors is helping Chang'an actually to expand into the European market. Right. That's where this bilateral economic business collaboration actually has spillover effect, and it has really connected to more markets than we previously expected.
We are on each other's supply chains. And as we know, that's a new sense of security we're talking about here. Having said that, though, another point that our guest wonderfully touched on is this mechanism. The mechanism of 1+C5, China with Central Asian countries. Now, that was initiated back in the year 2020. But later we have seen this mechanism being adopted by other countries when they approach Central Asian nations. And that makes Central Asian nations together much more resilient and powerful in a way. How do you see that mechanism echoes with what we need here in Central Asia in terms of our development, in terms of our interactions with the rest of the world?
Of course, it's a very important initiative that provides an example for the stable development of bilateral cooperation between the China and other Central Asian countries. We have more potential to develop, and we have a room for improvement, of course. We have the basis, not only these mechanisms, but in terms of security, we have Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In terms of economy, we have Belt and Road Initiative that was announced, if I'm not mistaken, in Kazakhstan, in Astana.
Yes.
It also has some meaning, probably. And
a lot of meanings.
Yeah. But I think that we have to develop more other opportunities and synergy. Yeah. The water cooperation between our countries has a crucial importance.
You know, I strongly believe that this format came from the business, because like before, our business companies, they realized that our probably globally, like from the global perspective, it was a small business, and it's not interested in on the global markets. But when you present the business like the whole region of Central Asia, when you globally, when you present your business globally from the all Central Asia countries, you are much more interesting for the investors from the China, from the US, from the Europe. So that's why they decided to do it even before politicians. But right now, this format is really popular in our countries because it's really efficient. And like before, it was a lot of discussions where to organize these meetings, and it was really controversial questions like it would be Astana or Tashkent or Bishkek, something like this. So they just stopped to work on this stage. But right now there are like doesn't matter when you organize this meeting. Astana, okay, all the leaders from Central Asia, they just go to Astana, and even like I think that last year it was when all the leaders from Central Asia, they were in Astana like each month. I mean, each month in the row, like 3 months, each month in a row, and it's like doesn't matter. Nobody said that it's something strange. It's you know, and right now our policy, economic policy, became more pragmatic.
Yeah.
And it's more about efficiency. It's more about money. It's more about finance questions. It's not about like political.
And it's more about the mutual respect, isn't it?
Of course.
It's coming out of this mechanism of 1 plus C5 that we have learned.
Yeah, we got new leaders, we got new strategies, and it helped.
I want to elaborate on economic cooperation. Of course, it stands out within the framework of our China, Central Asia, and China, Kazakhstan cooperation. As we know, China is now Central Asia's largest trading partner and major investor. And since the first summit, our trade volume has grown exponentially. So my question here is, how do you assess, and this question is for all panelists, how do you assess the strategic role of economic cooperation is really shaping the economic integration within the region, within Central Asia?
Building on what we were just discussing about, this whole economic collaboration actually taking off, I previously have highlighted on the importance of this economic complementarity between China and Central Asian economy. Another key factor that has been driving this tremendous growth is actually the very important factor of the political commitment, manifested through the mechanisms we're talking about. Although mechanism as a word might sound very abstract, but let me try to elaborate how that actually is facilitating this economic collaboration. Because normally, when we think about economic analysis, we think about demand and we think about supply, right? We work on either factors, try to boost either the demand or supply. Different economies have a different philosophies approach towards it. But one thing always that we tend to overlook is market confidence. Right? And this could play a tremendous role between countries who actually have demand and supply. They refuse to sell to each other. So the demand and supply is there. When there is such friction, what do we do as businessmen? We hold, we wait until all the disruptions actually settle the dust, right? So this is a terrible frustration and roadblock for economic development. But luckily, actually, this is something that sometimes we may take for granted. But now, in this era, when we look around, this is happening, but we have all these mechanisms. Actually, it's strengthening the bilateral relationships, make businessmen at all different type of investment industries more confident. A lot of things previously we did not imagine could actually happen. Previously, we talked about AI, and actually, in Kazakhstan, there's a very interesting, and together Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are together matching, pooling the resources, and there are Astana hubs active efforts of establishing, you might find it interesting, imaginative, creative. They're establishing a this innovator incubator actually in Shanghai. Giving Central Asian startups. Some of them actually won many AI actually acclimates, such as Cerebral AI, which is using this AI technology to scan CT results more quickly, give a very efficient result on brain stroke. So this kind of thing can happen actually across countries with very different technical know-how, because of the confidence that has been injected into our economic community by these concrete mechanisms.
As we explore the China-Central Asia cooperation mechanism, we also have guests coming from all over this region to share with us their insights. Take a look.
Chinese investments are of great importance for our region. In recent years, new factories, companies, and new roads are constructed, and new jobs have been created. We are training future cadres at Chinese universities, and they will become experts and professionals for future development of our economy. Thanks to Chinese investments, hundreds of thousands of jobs are being created in the region. And thanks to those investments to our region, people can work in the hometown, reducing labor migration.
Let me explain on the some sample like China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan railway. For our country is very important because this railway project is a real breakthrough for the region. It will significantly shorten delivery times, improve logistics, and create a new transport corridor connecting for our country. And regarding this project and the railway, in the future, we can open new markets, new opportunities.
We have to understand that the digital economy is emerging as the next frontier of China-Central Asia cooperation. And the momentum is already visible. Thousands of Central Asian firms, particularly in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan, are actively engaging in cross-border e-commerce platforms like Alibaba and JD.com, exporting textiles, honey, handicrafts, and niche agricultural products to Chinese and global markets. So from the Carrick Institute's research, which I represent, research and stakeholder engagement, we identify three critical enablers of this digital trade. First of all, it's about soft infrastructure. We need to harmonize data protection, consumer trust, and digital signatures. Second, it's about logistics integration. It's smart customs, bonded e-zones, and last mile connectivity. And lastly, it's also about human capital. We need to increase digital literacy, artificial intelligence applications, and upskilling for small businesses.
We receive a lot of requests from Chinese sellers to play some commercial role in the Uzbek region, and we are directly providing them an access to our platform. Now at the moment we're building the interactions. At the moment we're building the logistic roads with the logistics companies that are providing them the services of cross-border logistics, so we can then put their goods on our platform and provide them to access to our audience. And backward, at the moment, our sellers from Uzbekistan, like producers, are interested to be accessing international markets, and we are in the process of giving them the backward opportunity, partnering with some local Chinese marketplaces, and that can work through us.
How do you see, China and Central Asian economies with the storm of tariff war, one nation against the rest of the world, handling this crisis so far? How are we keeping our posture in a way and be able to work out some solutions, at least with our own collaboration?
Historically, we know from the 20th century, we know that tariff wars don't help to develop. There are no winners in these wars. And it's ridiculous that some countries just started to do it. But right now, we can support each other in this situation, of course, and we need to develop our relationships, and we need new, I believe strongly, and I hope that it will be one of the themes about new agreements in this, changing world, because we need really new, strong agreement about all the main questions related with tariffs, related with economy, related with investments.
I think there are three things we have to concern. The first is the tariff war and the trade war is all the countries' challenge. It's not only for China and Central Asia. It's not only for one of us. We have to. We all face these challenges. And I think the second one is we have to have some cooperation. And considering the China and Central Asia's cooperation in the past few years, I think we can get one important experience is put the mutual beneficial as the principle of the cooperation. It's not only for one country's benefit or the others, it's the mutual beneficial. And the third one, I think, is the mechanisms, the multilateral mechanisms' importance. It's not only the unilateral way or unilateral behavior, the tariff or the other policies. It's about the coordination, collaboration, and all the cooperation. That means for the countries, not only for China and Central Asia, we have to build the stable mechanism to solve this problem, to face those pressures. I think that's the meaning of the next week's China and Central Asia Summit.
Talking about economic cooperation, I think it's very important to address also the question of energy cooperation, especially when we talk about green energy initiatives, when we talk about green mineral cooperation. It's already aligning with the global transition towards sustainable development. And my question here is to Mr. Ramazan Jampisov. How do you think China and Central Asian countries, Kazakhstan in particular, have leveraged their strengths to advance green mining and green energy initiatives?
Well, we can observe how the cooperation between our countries, I mean between China and Central Asia, are developing, and China plays a pivotal, the most important role in this energy transition process pathway, because as I already mentioned, China is a global leader, not only on technology market, but also in renewables. We have many projects already implemented and are at the stage of development in Kazakhstan and in Uzbekistan as well. And of course, AI and electrical vehicle. China is a great leader. I personally, have a Chinese car.
Oh, you do?
EV. That's just second, different generation of the technology. It's just amazing.
For the very first time, the China Central Asia Summit is being held in Central Asia, and I am in Astana,
talking to the speakers and delegates to find out exactly what it all means for the region.
With a deeper connection in politics, trade, and transportation links between China and Central Asia,
where uncertainty provides a global backdrop, but where multiple engagements become the norm.
Join me for a World Insight special, Connecting Central Asia.
When we talk about our economic cooperation, it's also important to mention logistics potential and transportation connectivity. Again, we're talking about connecting different, parts of the world, like east to the west. And again, the role of Central Asia, the role of Kazakhstan is essential here. We're talking about building infrastructure projects. We're talking about connectivity projects. So I'm interested in what is your vision on the future of these developments in connectivity, in transportation, and in logistics.
Okay, thank you. I think for China Central Asia, as you said, the logistic cooperation is one of the most important projects in many years. And I think it is also the most successful part of the both parts cooperation. I think in the future, this kind of cooperation will continue and will build the Central Asia as the new harbor of the Eurasia continent. And at the same time, we can say this harbor will not connect China and Central Asia, but also connect China and Europe. and also North and the South, and also China and the Middle East. That means Central Asia will play as a harbor, and at the same time, it is also the cooperation between the logistic cooperation between China and Central Asia. Central Asia as the terminal of those logistics, because it will provide the fundamental logistics for the economic cooperation, for the trade, for the minerals, and also as we know, there's also some new fields of cooperation, like for the people, I mean, from China to Central Asia, and also from Central Asia to China, like Xi'an and Almaty have the tourist return. I think these kinds of cooperation have two dimensions, the terminal and the transit harbor.
Xi'an knows this better.
Yes.
He's originally coming from Xi'an, that's his hometown. Yeah.
That's right.
The cooperation on transportation, on logistics, that's changing the picture.
Right, right. So this logistics improvement is really something impressive. It's not only between China and Kazakhstan, right? We are also seeing the long-planned railway from China to Kyrgyzstan to Uzbekistan is also taking place. And all of this infrastructure building process has really outstanding impact, positive impact on the extensive economic sphere. At the implementation stage, actually, there's a technological transfer between the Chinese and the Central Asian partners. When they build it together, there's knowledge transfer, and there is the sharing of knowledge in terms of engineering and operational know-how, and also the sharing of knowledge in terms of servicing and maintaining it. And then it provides the basic infrastructure facilitating the trade between China, Kazakhstan, and even all the way to Europe, right? So we really have this really amazing need of each other's goods. Here, as a person from Xi'an in Kazakhstan, we like a lot of sweet wheat-based food, noodles, and we're amazed by the quality of the wheat. And there are those Kazakhstani agricultural products, wheat, rice, honey, and edible oil already on sale in China, and people are really ready to try it out. And here in Kazakhstan, I'm really surprised on the high demand of Chinese goods here. Long before Pinduoduo had its English version, everyone's laughing because when there was only the Russian version on the phone, and everyone was already ordering food from there. And I was so surprised that the very savvy young generation in Kazakhstan, they're not just shopping from JD, Taobao, and Pinduoduo. They were shopping even from boutique e-commerce platform I have not learned before, like Poison. One of my actually basketball buddy in the undergraduate program, and then one day he was introducing me to this very boutique Chinese e-commerce platform, and I think many of our audience here are very familiar with that. That really shows the synergy, the mutual interest, the potential of this organic growth.
Right.
Fueled by the sound infrastructure, actually provided all the foundation.
I would love to follow up on that, because I know friends from both sides that are shopping on each other's e-commerce platforms.
Yeah.
And they really enjoyed it because it's the best way. And the logistics that we talked about earlier actually provides the most convenient way to let the goods reach the people in the most efficient way. If you order today, in a few days you're going to get it. And that's so important. Having said that, though, the infrastructure is the key. So how does that infrastructure, digital infrastructure, work so far?
That's actually happening now. Actually, big and innovative players such as Kaspost, and together with their Chinese counterpart, they are working out this digital financial infrastructure.
Right.
This requires really creative approach. This really requires them to be very pragmatic, and it requires collaboration, coordination at practitioner level, at also the regulator level. But this is all happening, and we probably will get benefited from this digital infrastructure sometime soon.
Ramazan?
I think it's we have something to share with the rest of the world, and to develop with the China in the future, of course, because these mechanisms and approaches provide a direct access for customers to the suppliers. And it makes the things much more cheaper, much more easier. That's why it's everybody likes these e-market platforms. And it's more sustainable, right? And of course it helps to develop the markets, local markets, and it brings more working places here. Because it provides access to a huge Chinese market for us. Without the digital platforms, it would be much more difficult for us to get the access to a huge Chinese market. In terms of transportation infrastructure, we have these Belt and Road initiatives, and more terminals are opened every year in Chinese and in Europe, because our region is interesting for main players in the market like China and European Union as a transition hub. And in this meaning we need to develop the infrastructure to improve the volume of the goods to be transferred from China to European markets. Right. We need to develop the railways to open new trade terminals. We need to develop highways to use all the potential that Central Asia provides for world markets.
For the very first time, the China Central Asia Summit is being held in Central Asia, and I am in Astana,
talking to the speakers and delegates to find out exactly what it all means for the region.
With a deeper connection in politics, trade, and transportation links between China and Central Asia,
where uncertainty provides a global backdrop, but where multiple engagements become the norm.
Join me for a World Insight special, Connecting Central Asia. Well, when we talk about how these things would work, the people-to-people exchanges between China and Central Asia is so important. Without that, none of these real understanding, real cooperation could happen. You are the people that are testifying to it, because we are doing people-to-people exchanges right now. Can you maybe help us to understand which stage of educational exchanges are we in right now? How important it is for our young people to be able to have an exposure to a very different culture, a different country, and how can we take advantage of these great relations between China and Central Asia for their benefits?
Yeah, when you started to study abroad, you get a lot of positive information about people around you, and like maybe unconsciously you started to be an ambassador of the new culture in your country, and it's a new bridge between the cultures, between knowledge, and you started to be more developing. You can use the new knowledge in the help your economy, of your country, help to develop, and also you have a strong connection with country where you studied, and it's actually great point. I had a group mate in California who was like a manager in the city administration of Beijing, and we had a conversation about our countries, and he is from Beijing, and he asked me can you remind me where your country located? And it was like 8 years ago. I was shocked. Actually, I was shocked.
I guess we are all in the higher education sector. Me as the instructor professor in, and you're the recipient in. We probably have all heard about some interesting development, such as Beijing Foreign Language University's campus in Astana, right? Northwestern Polytechnical University's campus in Almaty, and there are a lot of interesting macro trend we all observe. I'll share something I observe more on the ground level from the Graduate School of Business at Nazarbayev University. We have been receiving international students for years from all over the world, including Chinese students. Recently, we have a more kind of interesting collaboration emerging as a result. of China Central Asian collaboration and many of the concrete mechanisms. For example, now we have exchange programs with Tsinghua University, with Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, with Southwest University of Finance and Economics.
When we talk about enhancing people-to-people exchanges, the role of education is very high, it's very important, but also the role of media, right? Today we have this panel discussion which will be broadcasted jointly on Silkway TV channel, it's a Kazakh media, and also CGTN in China, so it's very important. And my question here is to Mr. Azamat Baigaliyev. How do you evaluate the impact of the Central Asia and China media collaboration? And what can we do to amplify the voices from Central Asia to be heard through these partnerships?
So let's come back to the story of my roommate. This person, he just didn't know about Kazakhstan. And I, first of all, I was shocked, but then I analyzed why it's happened. Because like during the decades, we didn't know about each other, like nothing. Because I don't know, probably that's because of really specific informational like fields, right? And really economic oriented relationships without our countries, but not a cultural. But last years it started to expand all our digital informational partnership, and I'm really glad that we started to speak, to talk with each other, because like there are a lot of things which we need to know, which we need to see eyes to eyes, that we need to understand why some people say something like this, why our cultures are closer than we thought before. And I think that right now, after like 8 or 9 years after this discussion with my classmate, I think that right now it's much more clear, and people in Kazakhstan and in China know about each other much more than it was before. And thanks to the television, thanks to the internet, and also thanks to the social media like TikTok, you know, I know about, like, I started to know about China, and the world started to know. There are conspiracies that TikTok loves Kazakh people, you know, that it's like promote Kazakh faces in the world. It is conspiracy, but I believe that thanks to these social platforms, we also know about each other much more. Because I saw so many places in China, like, and so many people, so many talented writers, so many talented journalists and politicians, which I like have no idea that they exist. But right now I know about it much more, thanks to the media first.
It's amazing, especially when the tourists are beginning to come to each other's country with these visa-free, you probably know about that, the visa-free entry for our citizens into each other's country.
When we started to use it with a free policy, there are like a lot of concerns in our society about it, because China is of course great market, and there are a lot of people, and like there were a lot of concerns about how we can develop these relationships. But right now there are no problems. I mean, they just started to hype around it, but right now a lot of people understood that how many like process, how many good things help to see the new country for us. And China opened, and I believe Kazakhstan, our countries opened for our citizens from the really very new site, and that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yes, let us, our esteemed audience, to ask your questions to our panelists today. We are very happy to open the Q&A session right now.
Yeah.
So.
My name is Sanel. I'm second-year student of International School of Journalism, Maqsut Narikbayev University. So my question is about cooperation between our countries. What is the basis for deepening cooperation between our countries?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we collect the questions, right?
We collect questions together, yeah.
Go ahead. Who's the next, please?
认识你很高兴. And my question is, how can students exchange between China and Central Asia be made more accessible and beneficial for both sides?
I do see the first question regarding to the potential, the foundation to deepen mutual collaboration is related to the more expanded academic opportunity. What is happening is most of the projects we have been heard of depends heavily on government subsidy. Government subsidy and students' parents' will to get involved in those programs actually represent only one side of the equation. That is the supply side of the equation. And actually, this kind of a cross-cultural talent development process has great also spillover positive impact on the businesses operating across borders. Right now, we haven't involved the businesses. They are the demand side of this talent development as actively as possible. They are the potential to further deepen this collaboration as they also get involved in the process of maybe offering internship opportunities, maybe giving input on what is the latest need after obstacles for cross-border collaboration to take place. Those are the things actually will also incentivize more students interested in paid program because they see the promise of getting really employed in certain promising jobs, right? So that's how I see the potential of a deepening collaboration with academic exchange actually coupled very well.
I strongly believe that we have platforms for mutual partnership, but Kazakhstan voices need to expand their participation in the informational field of China, because I strongly believe right now that thanks to you, thanks to your television, we got the access to on the TV channel, China TV. But also I think that we need the new opportunity to work with Chinese social media too. We need to work much more active, and I think that we need to expand our access to the Chinese social platforms, and I think it would be the new step for for hearing our voices, for understanding, and also it's not about only the young voices. It's also about the business, Kazakhstani business, Kazakhstani tourism. For our places, I'm strongly sure that people from China should know much more about Kazakhstan, about our nature, about our cities, about our people.
We are having this both-way traffic, the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach in terms of developing the great potential of our region, China and Central Asia, and of course, beyond. And with that in mind, we're wrapping up today's conversation. We want to thank the insights from our panelists, both here in person and online, and the wonderful input from our audience, from the young people here in Kazakhstan. We are looking forward to continue this conversation.
I'm confident that this important conversation will bring even more fruitful results in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.